Good morning and welcome to Black Anthropy. This morning, my guests are DNA Rising Founders, a nonprofit here in Cleveland, whose mission is to put a dent in this homeless crisis that the entire country is experiencing. Um, we have one founder, Latoya Smith. We have our second founder, Miss Danielle Acosta, and you all will talk about your third founder, how you all came together and started this organization.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing us to be here. So it's exciting. Today is February 19th, and Black History Month. So this is a great time to talk about what we're doing great, 365. So thank you so much. And so I'm gonna let Danielle tell the story because she know how to break it down, right? And so, but we have been friends since high school. We're graduates from Shaw High School, and our partner Tracy, she resides right now in Columbus, Ohio. And so it was a brainchild from my good best friend over here a few years ago. Actually, 4 years ago now, because this is 2024.
Yeah.
And she called me in a little bit of a crisis and a little bit of a panic, and she was very tearful. And I know during that same time, I had called her and I said, hey, I know a couple of people who are looking for a place to stay. And do you know, she owns some properties and manages some properties. And so I said, hey, do you have a place for rent? I got a couple of people who are in dire need. And she said, no, but I'll check a couple of things. And then a few weeks after that, she called me and said, I got to tell you what God told me. And so I listened, and she said, we got to do something. And God put this in my heart. And she's like, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, but I need to tell you something, and I want to see if this aligns with where you are. And when she told me about this idea of, helping those individuals who are displaced, who are homeless, who are couch surfing, that are, not even knowing that they're truly experiencing homelessness, she said, I got to do something. And I said, well, what does that look like? And I'm just like, girl, you got a family, you got a business, and you're managing a lot of things. Do you have the capacity to do this? And she said, when God puts something on your spirit, he'll make a way. And so when she said that, and I have 5 P's that I go by before I do something, and so it aligned with my 5 P's, and we can talk about that later. But anyway, but when she told me about it, I felt something in my body. I felt something in my spirit. And I said, yeah, I got to do this. And then I looked at my own situation growing up and some things that I experienced growing up in a single parent home, growing up moving different places, understanding some of the challenges that my mother faced as a single parent when it comes to finding a decent place to live and a decent neighborhood to live in. And so I'm going to let Danielle tell the story because God put the spirit in her. So I want her to articulate what came up for her.
All right, Danielle. So tell us what God put on you that you didn't put on the rest of us now. But you say never give you more than you can handle.
That's right.
That's right.
No, that's absolutely right. I am a realtor, a rehabber, a designer, property manager, and because I am a certified Eden and Section 8 landlord, I am on the list. And so that means that during the pandemic, especially when we had the eviction moratorium and no one was moving for lots of different reasons, no one was moving, I was getting probably 8 to 10 calls a week of people begging for, do you have anywhere that I can live? And these were people who had completed, all of the amazing education programs and recovery programs and, gotten their GEDs or, gotten their, completed whatever programs they had been in and had, Eden vouchers there. They had Section 8 vouchers and, they had a couple veterans, they had HUD badge vouchers. And the problem is, even though you may have a voucher, when you have anything in your background, like financial challenges and eviction, reentry, recovery, if you have any of those things in your background, a private landlord most likely is going to decline your application for a rental. And so what was happening was I was getting calls from majority single mothers, but also a few veterans who could not find a place to live and were either stuck in a shelter or stuck in a temp home or a group home or some type of temporary situation, with children, with families. And I just thought, we have over 84,000 vacant units within Cuyahoga County. This is crazy that we have all of these vacant properties. We have all of this land and empty buildings and empty houses, and these people have nowhere to go. And they've worked hard. They've completed education programs. They've completed job training. And so I realized that I had to do something. It was just heavily on my heart that we can do something. And I have two incredible besties who are VP boss ladies at Fifth Third and Key Bank. And I mean, these women I trust them with my life. And I just thought, they will help me. I know I can't do it by myself. They can help me. And so I went to BLOT, which is an organization, Building Business Leaders of Tomorrow Today, who basically run a nonprofit course. And so I completed their course, graduated from those classes, and I said, okay, ladies, let's go. And I tapped my networker extraordinaire over here who knows every person in Cleveland and their suburbs, as well as
you can tell from your list of partners,
as
right?
well
they're
as,
not just in Cleveland.
that
They
is
are
correct.
in Northeast Ohio,
That is correct.
Solon, Painesville,
They are
Akron.
everywhere, and this lady knows them all. She knows, you can name an organization if she has a friend there. And and Tracy Cleveland Thomas, who is a part of a couple of nonprofits in the Columbus area. We're all born and raised in East Cleveland. And Tracy and I were roommates together at The Ohio State University. And LaToya was, is an illustrious alum of Cleveland State University. And
They left me. But
and so we did, we leave. I came back. But yeah, I mean, I knew who to ask. I knew who was going to be on this mission with me. And I mean, it has been a wild ride the past, 3.5 years or so now, 4 years. And, but the mission is that DNA Rising is to provide bridge housing. So it's not a temp home, a group home, a voucher an education program, we provide bridge housing. So our participants will have up to 36 months to get back on their feet, whatever that looks like for them, with the help of their case management, with the help of our financial literacy partners, with the help of their social worker, whatever support that they need. And so it's a minimum of 12 months and a maximum of 36 months. And they will exit and they will either rent their own independent place, or our dream is that we will assist them with their down payment for purchasing a home.
Okay. Because home ownership, especially in our community, in the Black community, that is the part of the legacy building. And in order to really, really generate wealth, is through home ownership, through having properties, right? And so we encourage that, but we encourage that meeting the participants where they are, because everybody may not want to be homeowners, right?
Does not want to be homeowners.
Right. So we take that into consideration. However, we just want to make sure that once they finish our program, they leave out feeling more safe and secure. They'll have reference from us because they have participated in our program. They'll have some additional resources and education to be able to feel that they can make better financial decisions as they move forward. And we want them to feel whole and complete after they finish. So that's critical for us, to be loved and touched and cared for while they're part of our program.
And the interesting thing listening to you all is, we get in our own world like you all were, and it's like the housing crisis didn't just start in 2020.
No.
And
Not.
we don't even really realize this
It
because
did
you're
not.
in your own world, and like you say, you get these calls and you're kind of like, what? You know, and it builds up and it is kind of shocking. And so it's always kind of interesting to set up the way things happen. You know, you just call her because you know she has property, but you don't even see that, you know, that next step is going to be, this is what we're doing. And it, like you say, it touches your heart because it's like, yeah, I got to be able to do it because this has got to be a serious issue. And so to hear that and then to be able to act on that, one thing I'd like for you all to talk about is a little bit more is, and I'll start with you, Latoya, is what were your thoughts when Danielle, already working, having a family, decided to go and take this whole ass 9 months course? I mean, who does that to help other people? You know, and again, that's why I created this podcast, this show, is because there are so many people out there doing things like you all. We don't hear this. We think the world is coming to an end. We think there's all of this divisiveness. And then we don't hear about people like you that care enough to know someone to call, say, can you help these people? And then someone to say, okay, we're going to create an organization. But before we started, wait a minute. I'm going to take 9 months of my life and learn how to do it. I mean, who does that? Talk about what your thoughts about her taking that program and what she learned from it.
Yeah, so again, when she came to us with this idea, I was, you know, concerned about, just because I sit on a nonprofit board and have for a number of years, I don't know any the ins and outs of really truly running a nonprofit, right? Excuse me. So many years ago, I did take some nonprofit classes, but it wasn't to the extent in which she really was in this program. And I was so excited because I actually went to her graduation, right? And so she really, when she does something, so here's the thing. When people do things with a spirit of excellence, and I knew if Danielle was going to do this, she was going to do it with a spirit of excellence. I knew she was going to complete it. I knew she was going to be serious about it because that's just the type of person she is. Like, we've been together 30 plus years. So anything that she does, I know she's going to do it and do it wholeheartedly. So again, you know, I'm in a point in my life, I don't, you know, no is a complete sentence. However, when she came to me, and I'll speak for myself, and I think Tracy felt the same, when she came to us, she had a whole plan. You know, it wasn't a detailed plan, but she said, how we're going to do this is I'm going to, you know, sacrifice my time for 9 months to learn the ins and outs of nonprofit. So she's going to these classes faithfully for hours every single week. She had to learn how to write grants, right? That's not easy to be able to write those grants. Yeah, her subjects and verbs agree, but she got to be able to write those grants so that people will be willing to give us money, right?
Yeah.
And so again, when she did that, that gave me the comfort to say, yeah, I can do this. And yes, I do have connections within the community, but I'm gonna be really honest with you. Even though with having connections in the community, it's still not easy to raise funds, especially when you're in this space. And so honestly, you know, we'll talk about that later, but you know, it was really literally blood, sweat, and tears when we got that first house open a year and a half ago. I mean, literally. I have purple lashes. I lost every single one of them. But anyway, so when Danielle said she wanted to do this, I thought about, okay, if I do this, I got to step my game up because she don't play. She'll cut me. You know, she's from East Cleveland. You got to watch out for East Cleveland girls. But anyway, so anyway, I knew that, okay, this aligned also with my mission and vision in life as well. So I said, you know what, this is something I can do. And then when I really, really thought about it, when you're doing the real deep healing work, I recall a time where I experienced homelessness.
Yeah, that's.
And so I didn't think about it just because, you know, I'm living in somebody else's home on their couch, that I'm not homeless. Yeah, that wasn't my mother's home. I was homeless for a short period of time. You know, and so there were some times when my mother went through divorce and some other situations that I, you know, stayed with a grandmother, stayed with an aunt. You know, I've even had family members stay with me. And so again, as a culture, we don't think about homelessness from that standpoint.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then unfortunately, even though my mother had a decent job or what have you, she had some credit challenges.
Yeah.
So there was times where she got denied certain places to live due to her credit, due to her divorce or what have you. And so she had to be very selective of where she could go and live for for decent living for my sister and I. And so it was difficult. And when you're little, you don't pay attention to that. You don't know that they shield you from things. But it came to my realization as an adult, like, oh, we had some very challenging times. And one of the things that I did in my early 20s and still participate, I was mentoring women who were formerly incarcerated or incarcerated. So I own rental property as well. And so I use my rental property. So for the ladies that I was matched up with in a mentoring program with Lutherpolitan Ministries, friend to friend, those ladies who wanted to reside in Cleveland, I would let them stay in my rental property for free until they got on their feet. And so again, this aligned with so Danielle's concept and her thought aligned with my own personal mission and vision, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like when people are saying no to you, and all you want to do is have a nice home to be able to live and raise your family and to really start all over, right? And so that foundation of your home is critical. Part of your everyday hierarchy of needs is stability, is safety, and having a place to stay. So again, when she came to me with the concept and had it all thought out, I said, why not? Here's what I can do. Here's how I can contribute. And then to see it come to fruition, that's something totally, totally different. So I'm just really grateful that she followed her spirit and moved on with it.
It's really interesting, especially when you get decades away from, experiences that you had, how you look back and really those experiences were preparing you for where you're at this particular moment in time. And, that can be a whole, Black History Month thing.
Just that part. Just that part.
African American people, where were you at in your 20s, and where were you at in your 30s, and how did your teens and 20s prepare you for that? That could be a whole Black History thing.
And as a child, and the amazing thing is that this is one of my best friends of 30 years, and we met at birth because we're not old enough to. But but I did not know until we were presenting for the Akron-Cleveland Association of Realtors, who were considering giving us a grant, that my best friend had been homeless in her life. I had no idea.
But again, because we get so caught up, we're living our life, and you really forget.
That and shame.
Okay, maybe that too. I know, like, people don't like to talk about, like, the and I'm gonna get off topic just a second. The Me Too movement. And I tell people, and so once I get into that conversation, I just march down and think times this happened to me. And it's like it's completely blocked out of my mind, though, because you're living your life. So I understand. That's why I kind of brought that up, because it's like, no, this stuff happens and it's real to people. And just because people didn't bring it up, now, do I want to be trapped up in the middle of something like that? Whereas your experience is different. It brought you all together. So not only did Danielle go and take 9 months and learn how to run a nonprofit, your website is littered with all of this unbelievable statistical information about the effect of homelessness, specifically on children. Talk about going to do the research. Who does this, with a full-time job, with a family, and you go and you take this time to really learn and understand this? Like I say, it's one thing to hear about homelessness. It's one thing to hear about, they call them unhoused, it's all of these different terms, but it's not until you actually read these stories and read this research, and then even the research, and that's why I said, when you're talking about this came to you in 2020, the research is from 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, so it's just something that has been festering.
Yeah.
So talk about the research and the effect that it had on you, just realizing this.
And a lot of the research was from actually like 18 and 19, because I was trying to make sure that I got, kind of some recent stats when I was, thinking to approach, people and, partners and or grant writing. And so, yeah, that was from, 17, 18, and 19. And so, yes, this was not a new problem. It wasn't a new problem. But the thing that I realized about Cuyahoga County and our Cleveland area, we have incredible programs. I mean,
Yes.
we have, so many incredible organizations,
Yes.
City Mission and LMM, and, just all these incredible Birth and Beautiful communities, and, Pregnant with Possibilities, and,
Village
you
of
know,
Healing.
yes, so many different organizations, and they have incredible programs and support. But those programs, when their people finish and they're ready to come out and start over, private landlords are like, ooh, that background is rough, no thanks. And so that's where I saw the gap. The gap is from all of the amazing programs, temp housing and shelters that we have here, to I'm back on my feet and I'm ready to go. We are the bridge. DNA Rising wants to be the bridge, because you need, and it takes time. We are not a temp house, a group home, you have 3 months, you have 6 months. It's minimum of 12 months up to 36 months. And we are prayerful and confident that that will be enough time with the support of our partners.
And again, people don't realize that when you say homelessness, you all have a lot of research and information about the effect that this has had on kids. And so again, when you hear people say, oh, these kids now don't want to do this, this, and this. These kids now, they hard-headed. It's like people have not even read the research. They have not even looked into all of these things that have contributed and continue to contribute to why the children are the way they are. They have no foundation, like you said, no home to go to. What? Some
They're
kids, they
living
were
in
getting
their
to
car.
school early
They're living
so
in
that
their
they
car.
can get to shelter.
They're living in their car, or they're on grandma's couch.
Or in shelter.
And they are some of the students at this one of the schools that I worked with for special needs children, they would get to be outside the door at like 7 a.m. Because they were waiting for the doors to open, not only to get warm, but also because it was breakfast. They were getting the breakfast. So, I would pull up and I'm walking out and I'm going in, and there's kids waiting at the door, and I would later find out, just talking to different teachers and staff members, oh, that child is, does not have a residence right now. That child is living with grandma, or that child is living out of their car.
Wow. And, and again, they don't report it like this when we, hear this stuff on the news and all of this, and they continue to talk about, like, I think right now, the city of Cleveland is getting into this thing where they're looking at out-of-town landlords and all of these other things. And it's like, if you all would pay attention, how did the vacant property even get to this point? How did it even get to this point where you all don't realize, aren't your tax revenues or something impacted by people not paying from all this homeless property, unoccupied property, and can't we be doing something about this? So it's just so.
They're trying now. They're working on it, and there's going to be a lot of cracking down happening. So the out-of-state owners will be having a lot of new responsibilities.
What are you all thoughts on that? Because that's a big, and one thing I would want you all to talk about with this is this term affordable, right? Because that's what a lot of these out-of-town people are doing, is coming in and they're redefining, or whatever their definition of affordable is. It makes it almost impossible for people to be able to afford someplace to live. So talk about how you all envision helping people be able to afford some place to live during that 3-year period.
And that is true. I mean, obviously, our goal is not to, have the highest rent out there. So that, our goal is to, have appropriate, market value or below market value rent, because our participants will have, voucher support, right? So they will be able to manage it. But the term affordable is definitely a very loose term, because when you have people from New York and California who are purchasing properties, and even if they're renovating them or if they're just letting it sit and maybe hope it appreciates whatever they're doing, yeah, their definition of affordable is not the same as ours.
Yeah.
And so we obviously work with the partner organizations to have an appropriate market value rent, and the participant pays just $100 a month, and that $100 goes into a savings account for that participant. And however many months they stay, so let's say they stay 20 months, they have $2,000 that we will pay directly as security deposit or first month's rent, or directly to the title company for their down payment for their first home. And so that is one of the ways that we are making sure that not only are our places affordable, because the partner organizations pretty much tell us what is appropriate for the location of the home, and so they pretty much, we accept what they deem appropriate. And so yeah, affordable housing is definitely a very loose term.
It's such a loose term. You hear this so much, and my ears always perk up as I listen to people talk. I listen to the words that they use, and then the things that they're not really saying. And that affordable, it has become such a, it's almost like a cliche term, right? That they hope to just slide across, and it's like, wow, what does that really mean? Now, another big important thing that I like that you all did is, even though you have, LaToya, expertise in financial services industry, even though you have expertise, 20 years experience in real estate, residential real estate, fixing up homes, dealing with families, I really like that you all establish all these partnerships, so that you all are not saddled with, because it keeps you all from being overwhelmed as an organization, feeling the burden and responsibility of doing all of this. So you start to be the brains behind it, but you also need what you did, and what Danielle talks about is you went and got those partnerships. And talk about the importance of the partnerships, how you identify, okay, what are we gonna need? And because that's so important when you're running an organization, and especially when you're doing it, it's three of you all, and you all still recognize we still need to get experts to do this stuff for us.
Yeah, so it's all about relationships, right? And it's critical and important as you're doing this work. And guess what? We're not the only organization doing this similar work, right? And honestly, I wish we didn't have to do this work.
Yes.
To be honest, I wish we were doing something else with our time. But because we saw a need, and because again, we're just trying to help bridge the gap. We're the gap closers, right? And again, but we couldn't do it alone. So we had to sit down and look at what organizations could we partner with who can help us to do this work. And so we looked at our own personal network and organizations that we have partnerships with, and those individuals. Then we looked at our friend resources, then we looked at our business resources and things like that, and we identified those organizations that we felt that would, number one, help us with our target audience and helping us to get those participants that are going to be supported by those organizations. And then we reached out and said, hey, well, we need money to rehab this house. So when we established our partnership with the land bank, that was critical for us to be able to obtain the property. But then guess what? We needed monies to be able to go in and renovate the property. But so it was twofold of what we were doing. So while we were fundraising to raise money to renovate the property, we also was doing programming. And during that time, we were working with different financial institutions to say, hey, we need to make sure we're educating people on the importance of financial literacy and financial empowerment. So yeah, so when you decide that, yeah, home ownership is for me, they know the importance of looking at their credit. They know how to look at a budget. They know how to save. If there are some things or blemishes on their credit, well, how do they work through those things to clear those things so they can move forward? What organizations are out there that are helping with down payment assistance and things like that? All the way to the point of, well, once I get this house, do I know how to clean it?
Right.
Do I know how to maintain it?
Yes.
You know, so again, we try to figure out to make sure that we have resources with all these organizations that can help that individual once we identify the best person to be in our property, what other supportive services we can additionally help with, right? And so again, we are so grateful, and we have a list of our supporters, and it's growing on our website. But I will tell you, it wasn't easy because we were a brand new nonprofit.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so people are like, well, did you think about partnering with this organization? Did you think about, and you know, well, what's the difference between you and them, right?
Yep.
And so again, that first property was critical for the success of being able to move forward. So I'm excited about 2024 because we got some great things happening for our next project, and we have some new partners. So we are really honestly still in, I would say, the toddler stage of our organization. So we're still trying to connect with different organizations. Yes. We're still trying to network. We're out here in the community telling people what we do. Again, because just because we know a lot of people, it's still difficult.
It doesn't work.
So
like
we
that,
listen. So if you're watching us, we need $1 and a dime. Give it two. I don't care what you have. We need it because we got this second house that we're working on, and I tell you again, people are like, well, you know. And you know, in this particular community in Cleveland, it's all about relationships. It's all about partnerships. And so we honestly, even though we had our own individual connections or what have you, we had to establish that or reestablish that again.
Yes.
And it's not easy. And just because I know a lot of people or Danielle knows a lot of people, that doesn't mean that money was coming in fast. Because it's too many organizations trying to do good things, right? And so our goal is, you know, we're starting off slow, but the whole goal is, and Danielle did this to me some months ago, and I almost flipped out. She was like, "We're gonna renovate 5 houses a month," or something crazy she said. And I said, "Ma'am, you know how long it took us to get this first house."
Future goals.
But future goals. I was just going, you about to give me a whole heart attack.
You have to have
you
long-term goals.
But it's so many people in need, right?
It makes you feel that way.
Right. Yeah. And then I don't blame people for being skeptical because, you know, people are starting nonprofits every single day. We got probably some starting right now, right? So people are thinking about, okay, what are you doing in the community? Because let me tell you something. The other thing we had to overcome, we're not getting paid for this.
Yes.
We ain't getting
no salaries.
There's no salaries. We ain't getting nothing. This is free 99 all day long, right? And so we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart. This is our mission and this is our vision. So again, we're not making any money. All dollars and donations that come to us go straight into that particular home, or it goes to the participants that may need help. So for an example, we currently have a family in our home right now, a single mom with 5 children. When she moved in, we made sure that she had everything she needed. So we had a welcome basket for her with all her toiletries, everything she needed. She didn't have to buy a mop, a broom, or nothing, right? And then, you know, throughout the few months, we wanted to see what else she needed. She also needed support. Well, how do you clean a home? How do you maintain a home?
Especially
so we hired another organization to partner with us to show her how to maintain her home and have the kids involved. This is how you clean your room. This is how you, so again, those dollars help us to be able to see if our participant needs something, how can we meet them where they are? What do you need from us? If they need a bank account, they need a job. We offer those that's why those partnerships are critical, to be able to say, okay, because when you finish this program, we want you better than ever than how you walked in. And we want you feeling empowered to be able to make a sound decision for your next property. Whether you're gonna rent again with someone else or you're ready to purchase a home. And so again, that's what we need these dollars for. And then again, we're focusing on our next home. We have great partnerships. So we need those things and resources to be able to do those things.
So talk about that then, Danielle, when you all got the first home, because I like, of course, 2 elements of your of the process that you all use. Once you all identify the property, I like that you all go and look, and then you all put together a renovation plan. and then you all put together a budget. And again, that seems to all be born out of you taking that class because, and even your background, because understanding it's one thing to start an organization, is like you said, how are we going to get money to survive, to be able to carry out the mission of the organization, which doesn't include us getting any compensation from this. And so what is that like, and what type of time frame does that take? What type of collaborations does that take between the three of you? LaToya, like I told you when I first talked with you, it's like you can't get three women to agree the same mall to go to. And you all agreed to a whole organization, a whole budget, a whole renovation plan. It's like, so what was that like when you got the first property, you all coming together, saying, okay, this is the property, you all saying, okay, this is the family that we're going to, single mom that we're going to move in. What was that like?
So with the land bank charities, they have access to certain properties that are maybe tax lien or foreclosure or whatever that they received from the county. And so we they let us know what they had available. We went and looked at several and toured several with a couple of the staff people, and so just even the process of choosing the home was was extensive. And just the home is 1943 over in Glenville, and so it needed extensive work. And I underestimated exactly what it needed, because there were some things in the walls and under the floor, so when things were torn out, and so definitely it was an extensive process. And just creating the budget from the business that I'm a part of and have several years experience, knowing that that's kind of step one, right? You have to understand how much it's going to cost. But again, being a brand new organization, it was difficult to have, since we didn't yet have proof of concept, so to speak. Just to find partner organizations who were able to kind of extend us that trust ahead, right? Because they didn't know us, we didn't have a track record, we were a newer organization. So incredible partnerships like Humble Design, who comes in and completely furnishes down to the mop, broom, vacuum, and coffee maker the home. We did not even have to think about it.
Right.
We didn't even have to think about it. Organizations like Air Analytics, who is our HVAC, who donates labor and installs the entire furnace and AC system and hot water tank, and for us. And so just really building trust with those partnerships. We have, again, an extensive list of the Cleveland Foundation, Black Futures, and UBF, and Akron Cleveland Association of Realtors. And so there were a lot of organizations, the Key Bank Foundation, the Village Capital Corp, that extended that trust before we had that verified track record, right? And so we are so grateful to those partnerships and organizations, because without them, we would not have been able to finish that first home that did have some twists and turns and some surprises that made the budget more expensive than we initially estimated. So it's definitely a challenging process, a lot of work. This time around, we definitely have the full support of Councilwoman Meredith Turner, Cuyahoga Land Bank Charities, and the Downing brothers of HGTV and DIY TV, who are going to assist us in not only choosing the property, but creating the renovation budget. They will be by our side and kind of supervising that. What does this renovation budget look like? Organizations who have volunteered to fund the materials. So then now we also will need a separate materials budget based on what renovation needs to happen. And we have organizations that are willing to provide us with grant money to purchase those materials. The Home Depot Foundation did a materials grant for the first home. So, just the partnerships. There's no survival in the Cleveland nonprofit world without the partnerships. Right. Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries, Family Promise, Eden Rapid Rehousing. You cannot HUD Vash, just whoever. You cannot survive without those partnerships because we can't do everything.
Right,
We can't be their
right.
case manager, their social worker, their banker, their this, their that. You know, we want to focus on clean, roach-free,
Right,
warm or cool, rat-free,
right.
clean, renovated houses that people can use as their bridge. Because again, so many people, if there's anything in their background, they have nowhere to go.
Can I give some kudos to my BFF over there real quick? So when we
I'm
had this,
steal her.
yeah, I'm
She
no,
gonna
you
be
can't.
my
No, wait,
BFF.
you can't
She
steal
gonna
it.
be my
No,
BFF.
she can't.
My
But
goodness.
so when we were looking to identify the home, and so we relied on Danielle because she has the eye, right? And so we were looking at number one, the type of neighborhood, the neighborhood we wanted to be in. We looked at, is it near a school and all
I
those
was gonna
other
ask
things.
those things. Yes.
And so
Stop.
so that's what I like about her. She does her research.
Mhm.
So when she found this house, it looked great on the outside, great bones.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when we
yeah.
went inside, she's like, we going on a tour. We go on this tour, I go in this house. I said, girl, what you see? Right? Because I don't have that eye, right?
Ceilings
So
falling
the ceiling
in,
falling down. Like on the
no
outside, I'm like,
bathrooms.
yeah, we got a good solid house, nice
Yep,
driveway.
beautiful brick.
And we go inside, and I'm like, what in the world?
It's
And
a
she
mess.
said, you just got to see the vision. So I said,
Yeah.
ma'am, I went
There's
upstairs
no
and now
ceiling.
I'm downstairs. I mean, I just fell through. I mean, where's the vision? So I couldn't see it. I see it. But that's why when you go in partnership, you got to make sure you trust the person.
Yes.
Right? So she said, you just got to see the vision. And so she's so smart and creative in that way. So she said, envision this. So I'm trying to envision. I'm like, girl, I'm seeing a hole in the wall. There's no floor. But whatever you say, baby, we're going to go with it. And to see it actually, you see that stuff on TV. You be like, yeah, whatever.
HGTV. I
Right.
know what she's talking about. Yeah.
But to actually see it happen in
Yes.
real life. So even while the construction folks were doing their thing, we were outside meeting all the neighbors. When I tell you I love my neighbors on Forest Grove, I love my neighbors. We went to every single house, passed out our business card, introduced ourselves. When I tell you, when we couldn't cut the grass, the neighbors cut our grass. When we couldn't plow the snow, they plowed our snow. We had nice equipment and appliances. The windows were still not fixed yet. There was our neighborhood watch. So when I tell you, we chose a neighborhood
Yes.
that took care of us and still take care of us. We were so blessed. The other thing that we learned from this experience is, guess what? When the monies wasn't coming in, who had to fund it? They did. Personal loans out of their own budget to fund this project. So when I tell you, we were determined by any means necessary to make sure, because we had a deadline that we wanted to have that house open. And there were some people who made promises that didn't keep their promises
Oh,
and didn't
yeah.
keep their word. So we thank folks like Rebuilding Together who filled in the gaps when somebody said, we're going to give you this, and then they changed their mind. So I tell you, it wasn't easy. So when I say blood, sweat, and tears, we had some days that it was difficult. And being Black women in this space, she experienced a lot of somebody talking down to her.
Oh yeah, always. 20 years experience in
You know,
real
talking
estate.
down to her because you're a Black female in this construction real estate space. And so you maintaining your dignity, you still using your voice. So there was days she would call us crying because of how somebody talked to her or how somebody treated her. So again, we learned so much.
Yes.
And won't take it back, right? And so now again, establishing ourselves as, hey, we understand and know this space now, right? And
right.
again, those relationships are important. So everything we went through, we learned a valuable lesson. So we'll do things slightly different in this second part. And so as we continue to do this, it will become faster. It will become easier. We will have the dollars and the equity to be able to do other things. Again, we want to be able to bridge the gap for these people. When I tell you, last thing, when the family moved into our home in September with 5 kids, November, the little girl walked in and she was checking out the house, and she said, well, what room can I stay in? I said, baby, you pick, because it's a 5-bedroom. I said, you pick. And she picked a room, and she said, I get to stay here? to turn my head because I started to cry.
Yeah.
And she said, I get to stay here. They came from a homeless shelter. And she said, I get to stay here. I said, this is your room. You get to stay here. And so that also said, I know God said we're doing the right thing.
You know, and again, you listen to the Black Anthropy radio show, podcast. The reason I started this is because I write articles as a freelance journalist, and the articles have the editorial limits 800, 1,500 words, and it's just not enough to tell people's story who are doing things that are impacting the life of individuals, families, and communities by providing knowledge, resources, opportunities, and inspiration. And you all check all of those boxes because too many people say, well, people not doing anything. And it's like they are. And just because you don't see it on the news, just because you don't see this argument back and forth, should they be doing this? They should be helping these people and all of this. It doesn't mean that people aren't doing it. People are doing this work. And like you said, the impact, like someone, I was just having this conversation, but what are the real results? The fact that you all have 5 children in a home, in one property, the effect of that, where is that statistic going to go to help people understand the seriousness of the issue, the impact of homelessness on children? Where is that statistic going to go? And so it's like everything doesn't have to be done, in a statistic, in a report that convinces people that there are people doing the work. People that do the work just do the work. And, like you say, to see these people and to know that you are actually impacting their life, and that's how you get the society to function better because, how many of those children are going to remember that growing up, that for 3 years of their life, 3 women came together, did all of this work to provide some place for us who they didn't even know. They didn't know us to live, a clean place. Like I said, I was telling you all before we started, when I bought my house, and my cousin a couple of years later, she said she wanted to buy a house. And I was like, there's a lot of things that go into buying a house and that you got to kind of be prepared for. And to alleviate that burden for a single mother, like you say, to buy all of those products and services, mop, broom, dustpan, cleaning supplies. And people don't really think about all of those, the relief on her time, more time with her children, that she don't have to go to the store looking for all of these things, the stress from not having to worry, okay, how much are these things going to cost? Which of them can I afford this pay period? And so it's just really unbelievable. And again, another element that I hope over time to be able to bring out and have impact us culturally is learning how to give back to our own organization to help our own people. You all have a list of positions that you all would like people to volunteer for, and that's really interesting that you all have that. I know for me, I started volunteering a lot in 2007, and a lot of things that you learn. So some of these jobs that you all have, I mean, these are jobs that people can make money actually, as a professional. They can get experience doing this with you all. Talk about some of these volunteer positions you all would like people to help you all with as you all, renovate a home for someone to live in.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have on our website, we have like our little volunteer page, and so we always need help with marketing or social media or grant writing, or we definitely encourage interns who need those hours of experience doing those types of things. We also are looking for a plumbing company and an electrician company to donate labor. We will have the materials funded, but we'll be looking for a plumbing company and an electrical company to donate labor. We always have the need for, clean out, trash out, right? So when we get a, Cuyahoga Land Bank Charities donated home, it is usually not in great shape, and it is usually full of everything. So, so always need volunteers, for that. People that do landscaping. We have an amazing best landscaping who, comes and does our, yard clean out and, fall cleanup and, all those types of things. So there's always space, to serve with DNA Rising. There's always space for in-kind labor donation, for tradesmen and or people that just know how to do, maybe they want to volunteer. We have painters. Mm-hmm. We have people who volunteered and came and painted the exterior, the trim around the windows and, things like that. And so yeah, definitely there's always a need for volunteer support.
Okay, so talk about, so you got your first property, you got your family in there, and it's like, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about what your plans are for your next property, because I know a big part of it is you want the family to be a part of it too, the single mother or the veteran. You all want them to march through this process, and I think that is so important for people to see the work behind the work that is actually being done, for them. That's really interesting.
The family will be pre-selected this time, so we hope to have them, also having some volunteer hours invested as well, even if they just come and put, trash bag or whatever.
Yeah.
So definitely.
So talk about the second property, the next property that you all plan on doing, the next 2 or 5 that then.
She said 2 or 5. Right. Yeah, so we're in the beginning stages of that right now. So we've had some phenomenal meetings this month in the planning stages. So there's always planning involved in this before we launch something else. So we're in a good phase right now of our planning. So hopefully within the next few months we will identify a property, but this time we will have some assistance with our new partners in identifying a property. And then once we identify that property, then we will also, in conjunction, we're also identifying who would be that next participant. So hopefully we're looking to identify a veteran female single mom who will be interested in this particular property. And so we'll be working in or finding a property in District 9. And so that's what we're working on right now. So we're actually going on tours these next couple of weeks to identify some things. We have our, like I said, a new partnership with the Downing brothers who will also be helping us in the selection process of that property. And so everything, it will be in phases. And so more to come to hear how things are going and how individuals can support us. And so again, we're also in the fundraising stage. So right now, we're trying to raise dollars to be able to do this project and do it well, so that as we begin the construction of it, we don't have to feel fearful like we did the first time of people backing out or we taking out our own personal loans or what have you to be able to get that done. So if anybody want to support us, we're open for that support at this point.
And now one thing I do want to make clear, Danielle, is that like you all have email and telephone contact information on your website. Your organization, DNA Rising, is not call us, I'm homeless and I need some place to live, and we're gonna, find some place for you to live, fix it up for you to live. That's not what you all are doing. Talk about, your process of, people being pre-identified, and again, relieving that responsibility on you all. You're not, they have a caseworker or a social worker that they're working with is the important thing. They do not call DNA Rising up directly and say, I'm homeless and I need some place to live.
Correct. Our goal is to provide bridge housing for people who are already, they're in case management, they're in programs like Family Promise or Laura's Home or Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries, and they are ready. They're ready. They're at their point where they have, maybe they've gotten their GED, maybe they're now job searching, maybe they're, have graduated from their recovery program, or maybe they've re-entered from incarceration, and they are ready. And so we, want the partnership, whether it's the HUD Bash partners, the Eden partners, the Section 8 partners, the homeless shelter partners, the, whatever organizations, we partner with them, and then we are able to identify from the many wait list people that they have. I mean,
Right.
there is Luther Metropolitan Ministries has a massive wait list of homeless families. And so we are looking for, those partners to reach out to us, those organizations that have people, they have a list and they have nowhere for their people to go.
Wow.
We're looking for those partners to reach out to us and contact us so that we can get the ball rolling.
Okay, and now one thing I'd like to talk about, I'd like for my guests to talk about, because a lot of the organizations, representatives, founders of organizations that I've had come on, they either have a passion and or they have an expertise in something. And that's what allows them to start this organization, to take that vision and take their skill, expertise, and knowledge and extend it forward. So talk about how being in the financial services industry for 20 years and even teaching, finance, how this helps you to make DNA rising, make it even possible, and then make it, how you use your financial services background with the organization.
Yeah, so I would say for me, having the financial background was important because, again, home ownership in my family, started with me. My mom, actually, she didn't have the desire to purchase a home.
Mhm.
That just wasn't what she wanted to do.
Mhm.
She didn't want to have that level of responsibility. And that wasn't what I wanted. I knew that when I started working for the bank almost 25 years ago, I knew that in order to build wealth for my family, and I wanted to change the direction of how my family thought about wealth creation and wealth building, I was going to buy a house. And so I bought my first house at 25. And trust me, I had some credit issues. I was balling out in college, and I maxed out all my credit cards, and I thought I was rich, but I was cute.
You was rich.
I was cute. I was cute out here in these streets, but I was broke. And so, yeah, surely
And you
my
learned
credit.
from it.
Oh,
And you
did
learned
I
from
learn?
it. Yes.
Oh, did I learn?
Yes.
And so I was not taught the importance of credit and understanding that. My mother had a different philosophy, God bless her and rest her soul. But I did not learn that in the home. So when I started working for the bank actually taught me about financial empowerment, literacy. So it took me 3 jobs later in college to get out of my debt situation. Because how did you have more available credit? And I had $50,000 for available credit and made $12,000 a year. I mean, what sense did that make? But anyway, I did it. It was the best experience ever. And once I got out of that credit situation, I bought my first home at 25. I got a car at 0%, and I was like, oh, this credit thing is right. This this is what I need to do. And so then I said, what I need to start teaching people about the importance of this, so I can get, so other people like me can gain access to other things. And so that led me to learning how to share this knowledge with other individuals. So, my organization allowed me to go out and do financial literacy programs and things like that. And I continue to do that. And it was particularly important for me and my passion to make sure I do it with my people. Because we are all some of us may not be taught financial empowerment and leadership, right? Literacy. So that was a passion of mine. And so I started sharing that. And again, I want to meet people where they are. I don't want people to have any shame around it.
Right.
And so again, that's the reason why having that part of our program was important. When Danielle again came up with the concept of doing housing, I knew that was her expertise, because I don't know nothing about renovating, selecting any of that. So that was important to me, and making sure that I had somebody who was a subject matter expert in that situation. And then the other thing too, what aligns is that it's important that from a financial literacy and giving perspective, using that power to even give back. And so when Danielle said, hey, we're going to make sure that these people are set up with success. We're going to take a portion of that rent and to save it, to help them invest back into what's next for them. That was important to me, from a philanthropic standpoint. And so I have a group of beautiful friends that I have a giving circle, and we give small micro grants to organizations, grassroots organizations, community. So for me, when she came with that concept, it fell into that philanthropy pool of one of my P's of being able to give back in that way. And so yes, and then our other partner, our other founder, Tracy, with her intellect on IT, engineering, and finance, all of that made sense for us to be able to collaborate in that way. And so, again, it's helped us to be successful. We've learned a lot. We're still learning a lot, and we're still open to learning more in this space to how we can do it different, better, and even faster. To Danielle's point, there's a waiting list of families, that need to be placed. Before we took the mom that has 5 kids, we were contemplating taking 2 moms that had kids, who are already pretty much helping each other out, right? So we got to get creative. Right? So we know that there are multiple generations living with each other. There's people doing, collaborative space to be able to have a place to live and to be able to share the financial responsibilities of a home.
Yeah.
So, hopefully in the future we get some duplexes so that we can help more people. So that's why Danielle said, hey, we want to have more homes. We want to be able to help more people faster, because some people are on waiting lists for a very long time to get placed, or before they can get Section 8 or CMH housing, or it takes them a long time before their name is called. But in the meantime, they can be living in a home until their name is called.
Yeah.
Or it's time for them to make a different decision. So I'm just so grateful to be here and grateful to be, part of hopefully changing the game. And the other thing is, I'm not doing anything. If I can't make a contribution and a difference, I don't want to do it. I'm not that type of person. I just want to have my name on something, just to have my name on something. So no. And again, I do things with people who have the spirit of excellence, and that's why she's my BFF.
I always tell my nephew, one of my favorite sayings is, there's a premium on quality. I don't care what profession or industry you are in, quality shows through. It always shows through. I don't care what profession or industry it's in. So Danielle, talk about your experience and what you've learned 20 years before in real estate, before you started the DNA Rising, and how important that is, because like you say, when people may want to help with the vacant property issue throughout Cuyahoga County and all of that, but it's one thing to want to do something and maybe get yourself in a situation you don't know how to handle, and it's another one to get in there and be able to do like you did with Latoya and Tracy and actually show them, no, this property we can do this, and this with it.
Yeah, so I think all 3 of us, purchased our first homes, in our 20s. We all understood the value of home ownership. The statistic goes that 90% of American millionaires started in real estate. And so we know the value of a home is going to be your biggest and most important asset. And so, just being, young homeowners ourselves and just kind of learning and understanding the credit process, as Latoya was describing, I also had 10 credit cards and, in college and, maxing out stuff. And, and I also learned the hard way because I was not also taught that in the home. And so just having the experience of, buying, my first rental with the LLC and seeing oh, okay, I can paint this, we can fix that. A lot of it we did ourselves, our first property.
Oh, okay.
And so just trying to, learn that process has just been experience over the years, and then just working with tenants and understanding, the mindset and just, definitely, and seeing, when a tenant would have something in their background and how that impacted them, and, how the credit was reflecting and how, different things. And so, so I think the 3 of us, we knew that, home ownership, and if not home ownership, at least the stability of having a clean rental in a neighborhood that was safe, and just understanding those aspects of the process. And so it just those calls were what fed it, because it kept, I mean, it was like every other day, every day.
Wow.
It was like a call, somebody, please, do you have any place? Do you have any vacancies? Do you have any vacancies? And I was like, no, like we just had 3 places, and those tenants have been there for years, and I didn't have any vacancies. I didn't have to own a big apartment building or
Right.
anything like that. And so it just helped me to realize, like, wow, this is a real problem. Like,
Right.
these people even
Yeah.
have vouchers. The gentleman that was a veteran that had a HUD badge voucher, he was like, I can't find any place to live. I mean, he was re-entering from incarceration, and he just was having a really hard time finding a place to live, and he had a HUD badge voucher, which is like the veterans version
Yeah.
of Section 8, right?
Yeah.
And so I just was like, this is ridiculous. And so, just all of us have brothers, cousins, my dad, that were veterans. And then LaToya raised by a single mother. Tracy is a single mother. And, those are our 2 passion populations. And that's why, because we have personal connections and personal experience with what it's like. One of my uncles just recovering and trying to find, a place to live. So, that process was just kind of years of experience as a homeowner,
Right.
as a landlord, as a rehabber, like really realizing, like, oh wait, this house is a big ugly mess, but we can just do A, B, and C. And so, so just figuring out like what you can do, and part of it is just kind of a God-given, thing where like I can see how something can look, but a lot of it is just those years of experience and learning from my contractors and learning from the tenants and what they go through.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, and like you said, what you experience, and so that connection that you have with the people that you're working with, it helps you to understand what they're going through, recognize what they need, because you do have the landlords that they're in it for the money. And if they, and so when I first spoke with you, LaToya, to even hear you all have that kind of perspective on, we got to help these people. We know they have issues and problems. Most people, they don't, look at real estate like that. They look at it for, how can I make money off of this? And if this person seems like they infringe on any penny of my money, I don't want to be bothered with it.
Yeah. Most private landlords,
Yeah, that
correct.
and so for you all to do, I mean, and I mean, I just love the whole vision and plan that you all put together, and that's what, again, I hope to bring out with my platform is, that's why the mission of my mission was written from the people that I talked to in nonprofit organizations, providing knowledge, resources, opportunity, and inspiration. And like I said, you all check all of those boxes, because walking people through the process of home ownership, walking people through and letting them understand the importance of what your role is and what the role of your social worker and or your case manager is, and then understanding what your role needs to be, providing them the resources to be able to pull themselves up and be able to have some place to live, a foundation, the opportunity to get to home ownership. And then you all are just such an inspiration for people to take your time, to go through and, of course, to learn how to run an organization, do the research, and then you be able to say, okay, well, yeah, I understand what she's saying, and I need to be able to help and make it all work. It's just really unbelievable. And I always thank nonprofit organizations, because I don't think people think that the work that organizations like DNA Rising does, it helps all of us. It helps all of society when we have housed people, when we have people that are not living in unsafe, unsanitary, conditions, day in and day out. And if it wasn't for people like you all who do the work, I mean, our society would just be going down worse and worse and worse. I mean, to see those jump in those numbers, 44%, high school students, from one year to the next. And people may think, well, 44%. Think of it like this way. What if your paycheck increased 44%? Right, you may not think 44% is a lot, but
Give me
get a
44% right now, yeah.
get a 44%. You be like, wow, that wasn't bad, right? You know, so any dent that organizations put in all of these societal ills that we have, that we really don't need to have for this extended periods of time that we have, you know, what would organizations, you know, what would our society be if there wasn't organizations like DNA Rising? And like you said, LaToya, you all aren't the only one doing this.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get put out of business, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's again, you know,
we would love to not be needed.
use the telephone number on the website to call them and ask them, how you do that? That's what you use it for. So,
yep. Email us, dnarising.org at Gmail. Go to our website, www.dnarising.net, N-E-T at the end, and check out what we're doing. And there absolutely is a donation page, of course, where you can donate online. You can also sign up to volunteer online. Check out what we're doing.
And then where you at on social media?
Me personally, or
No.
DNA
DNA Rising.
Like, if you want to give me a dollar dime, yeah, you can.
Find us on Instagram and Facebook.
EBT, I take it all. No. Look, Danielle basically said our website,
Instagram and
we do
Facebook
have Instagram,
as
so
well.
please follow us on Instagram, DNA Rising. Follow us on Facebook or what have you. Even if you're on our personal, we're tagging DNA Rising. Actually, I sent you all a message who's following me that we were going to be on this show. So if you didn't get a chance to hear us right now, you can hear us later, hopefully. But yes, please, please, please send us positive energy and vibes. We want this year to be even more dynamic than the last, in our last project. So we need all the prayers, all the donations. No dollar's too small for us. But again, if there's different partners you think we should know or people we should meet and you want to do a warm handoff to us, please, we're open to that because we want to make sure that we're successful. And again, the whole vision is for us to not be needed in the future, you know, but until then, God will continue to use us and we're going to continue to use our platform to do this. So we thank you for allowing us to share our story.
Oh, thank you all for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Unbelievable story that, you know, more and more people need to hear and try to be an example of. So that's it today for Black Anthropy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we've learned a lot about how we're combating homelessness here in Northeast Ohio with new organization DNA Rising. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.